I remember that night like it was yesterday, even though it's been years. You know how some moments are just etched in time? You can't forget them, even if you try. It was one of those rare nights when everything felt still, like the world was holding its breath. The kind of night that can make you think about everything. About life. About who you are. About the things you've done and the things you still need to do. I had been sitting at a small cafe just outside of town. It wasn't fancy, just a quiet spot with mismatched chairs and old wooden tables. There was a single light flickering above the door, the kind that looked like it might go out any second, but never did. The air was crisp for early autumn, but not cold enough to chase anyone inside. It was the perfect temperature, that borderline chill that lets you know the seasons are changing, but hasn't quite settled into the heavier, colder air of winter. I sat at a table by the window, nursing a cup of tea I had no intention of drinking. I was too lost in my own thoughts. I had just come from a conversation that had changed something inside of me. It wasn't a huge conversation, nothing earth-shattering. But sometimes it's those little moments that shift everything, isn't it? It had been with an old friend, someone I hadn't spoken to in years. A simple, "How have you been?" turned into a late-night walk down memory lane. We talked about where we'd been, where we thought we'd go, and the strange, almost unnoticeable way that life keeps moving even when you're not paying attention. "You ever wonder," she had asked, "how much we let slip away without even realizing it?" Her question hung in the air long after I had answered. It was the kind of question that sits with you, even when you're trying to shake it off. It made me think about everything I'd let slip through my fingers, dreams, chances, moments. That night, after I parted ways with her, I drove out of town. No particular destination in mind, just letting my car take me wherever. I ended up on a winding road leading to the outskirts of town. And that's where I found it, the old park, the one we used to go to when we were younger. It had been years since I'd seen it. I don't even know why I pulled in, but I did. I parked my car near the edge, just under a big oak tree. The park was empty, the swings swaying slightly in the breeze, the moon hanging high in the sky, casting everything in a soft silver glow. It was one of those moonlit nights that felt like magic, like you could reach up and touch it if you just tried. I stepped out of the car and stood there for a long moment, listening to the quiet. It was the kind of silence that makes you feel small, but in a comforting way. The only sound was the distant rustle of leaves, the occasional chirp of a night bird, and the faint hum of life somewhere beyond the park. There was a bench nearby, one that had been there for years. I remember sitting on it countless times during my teenage years. We would sit there, me and my friends, and talk about everything. Our hopes, our fears, what we wanted from life. Back then, we thought we had all the time in the world to figure it out. Now, standing in that same spot, it felt like the years had slipped away so quietly that I hadn't even noticed them passing. I sat down on the bench, pulled my coat tighter around me, and just stared up at the moon. It was almost surreal how peaceful it was. The world felt so distant, like I was the only person left. Maybe I was. It's strange how the moonlight can do that. Make you feel connected to everything and nothing at once. And then, out of nowhere, I heard a voice. "Mind if I join you?" I looked over, startled. There was an older man standing a few feet away, his hands in the pockets of his jacket. He had a warm smile, though his eyes held a kind of tired wisdom. I didn't know him, but there was something in the way he stood there, almost like he wasn't really asking, just offering the space. "Sure," I said, motioning to the bench. He sat down beside me, his movements slow and deliberate. For a while, neither of us said anything. It was one of those comfortable silences, the kind you don't feel the need to fill with words. After a moment, he spoke again. "You come here often?" I shook my head. "No, not really. First time in a while, actually." "You look like you're thinking," he said, glancing at me. "I can tell. Most people think when they come to a place like this." I nodded, unsure of how to respond. It wasn't like I was lost in some deep, philosophical thought. But then again, maybe I was thinking about life, about choices, about how much I had changed over the years without even realizing it. "I had a friend tonight," I said finally. "We were talking about time, how much we waste, how quickly it slips away." He nodded, as if he understood exactly what I meant. It does that. It has a way of moving faster than you think. I don't know if I'm ready for it to move so fast, I said quietly. He looked at me, his expression thoughtful. You're not alone in that. I think most people feel that way at some point in their lives. He paused, glancing up at the moon, then back at me. You know, when I was younger, I thought I had all the time in the world. I thought I could wait to make decisions, put things off for later. But the truth is, life doesn't wait for you to be ready. It just keeps going. I sat there for a moment, absorbing what he said. The way he spoke, it wasn't as if he was trying to give me advice. He was just sharing what he had learned, the kind of wisdom that comes only with time. You ever wonder, I asked, how many moments you've missed, how many choices you've made that you didn't even realize were important at the time? He smiled softly. All the time. But here's the thing. There's no point in wondering. You can't go back and change them. All you can do is take the lessons from them and move forward. You do your best with what you have, and sometimes that's enough. I let his words sink in. It wasn't anything groundbreaking, but it felt like the truth. Maybe that was the secret to life, just doing your best, even when it feels like you're falling short. The old man stood up, stretching his legs. I should get going, he said, but I'm glad we talked. I nodded, standing with him. Yeah, me too. As he walked away, I realized something. I had spent so many years thinking about the future, worrying about what might happen, that I had forgotten to live in the present. And tonight, under the moonlight, I realized that it wasn't the future I needed to focus on. It was the here and now. Before I left, I took a long look at the moon, feeling something stir inside me. It was as if everything that had been weighing on me, every doubt, every fear, had been lifted just for a moment. Maybe that was the answer. Maybe the secret to life was letting go of the past, not obsessing over the future, and simply appreciating the moment you're in. After all, we only get this one shot. And in the end, it's the little moments, the ones you almost let slip by unnoticed, that matter the most. Hello, listeners of Fun Rock Tales. Take a deep breath. Life isn't about getting everything right or perfect. It's about showing up, learning from the bumps along the way, and accepting that time will keep moving no matter how hard you try to slow it down. So don't waste it. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Live now. Appreciate what you have, who you are, and the journey you're on. Don't let the moonlight pass without feeling its warmth. Life, like the moon, will always be there, guiding you even in the darkest times.